Welcome back to My Understanding, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it week after week. Love you guys so much. Means a lot to me. So thank you guys again, like I said, for coming on back. Today we've got a fun episode. We're going to be going over if I only had 30 minutes every day to get a workout in, what exactly would I be doing? So the goal behind this is I want to try and provide kind of like like an information dump from my own mind of like, hey, for all of my 9 to 5 workers, maybe even some of like my, hospital workers who are on tight schedules, or maybe their schedules are changing and you only have so much time each day, or you feel like you're just really compact and you just can't make it in for, a full hour or 90 minutes or however long, you hear all these crazy people going for. It's me. I'm those crazy people. But yeah, so I wanted to give you guys kind of like almost like a inspiration of like understanding you don't have to go in for the full hour for 90 minutes. Like if you're on that time crunch and you've got, maybe 30 minutes, I want to give you guys some hope and understanding and kind of explain to you how that is still totally fine and you can see progress with that amount. If you are watching with the video, you will probably notice that my shirt is almost the exact same color as the couch. That was an accident. Did not plan it. Didn't think about it, I'll be honest. Kind of sat down here and was like, oh, well, I'll be honest. The laziness got to me. I really didn't want to go change. So I'm here matching my couch today. If you're listening in, just know that I'm wearing green basically, but like not the I guess it's a nice color. It's I won't go into too much detail. Side story. It's not, it's like kind of a greenish brown basically. And I'm sitting here and I look exactly like my couch. And I was realizing that I kind of almost have a floating head. So this is going to go great, everyone. But yeah, so I want to give you guys that kind of a little information and give you guys get basically my understanding of what it should look like if you are on that time crunch, how to work out, what it should look like, and give you guys the motivation and inspiration to know that like you can achieve your goals. You just need to be very smart with how you do it. And if you've only got 30 minutes, I imagine that you're already trying to be very smart with how you go about working out, because you're probably wanting to make the most of your time. So I look forward to giving you guys some information on that. If this is something that interests you guys, please go ahead, leave a like and subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Leave a comment. I would love to hear your guys' feedback if this is something that you relate to. If it's something that you've been struggling with, maybe you learned something from it. Anything that, interests you, I would love to hear for. So thank you guys so much. And here, let's hop into it. So one of the things that I think is a big kind of, I guess, battle for people is a lot of people don't fail in achieving their goals because they don't necessarily know what to do. Like I'm sure a lot of the people, especially if you are on that time crunch, you probably have a good understanding of what you should be doing. A lot of times you guys fail because, I shouldn't say you guys, it's just a lot of times people in general will fail because they think that, they need 90 minutes, they need an hour and a half, 2 hours even. And so you kind of get like discouraged of like, I've only got 30 minutes, kind of what's the point almost. And that tends to be probably one of the hardest things to overcome, is that mental battle of like, is this really worth it or not? And I'm here to tell you guys it is. Like if you really are on that time crunch, get it. All right. Go out there, crush that 30-minute workout, get your progress. It really is a great thing. And so I want to kind of help you guys, give you that direction. Because if I had only 30 minutes, I wouldn't try to do everything that somebody who has 90 minutes is doing. That's the key difference, is I'm going to try and figure out what I can do in that 30 minutes to make the most of it. Because the reality is you should not be doing the same workout that somebody with an hour or an hour and a half time is doing. Your workout should not look the same. So there are fundamental differences. And I think one of them is like, you have to first think about, okay, what is your goal? Is your goal, are you trying to build strength? Are you looking to just maintain your muscle? Are you looking to build up maybe some cardiovascular endurance? Are you going for longevity? So that's one of the biggest things, is just first defining what your goal is. What are you trying to achieve? Because from there, then we can help easily build out like, okay, what should what I'm doing look like? What is it? What is my foundation? What are the fundamentals? And what am I missing? And so I think one of the first things that I want to go over is help you understand like the minimal effective dose. So like, what is the bare, like understanding, okay, what is the bare minimum that you can do to still see results? Because that's not what is the bare minimum I can do. It's what is the bare minimum you can do to see results. And I think that's just an important thing to go over, because I think once you hear what that minimum is, it's like, okay, wow, if I do just that, like I can still like get results. And it's true. So I think once you've defined your goal and okay, what am I going for? What type of training style am I looking for? Because if you're hopping between all of them, I mean, you're just confusing your body at that point. I mean, it's like, okay, what are we doing? Are we training for a marathon? Are we trying to be an Olympic weightlifter here? Like, what's going on? And at that point, I think you're confused. Your body doesn't know what's going on. It's getting pulled in all sorts of different ways, and you probably won't see a whole lot of progress. So once you've defined your goal, then you can kind of move on from there. So muscle mass, we'll just say muscle, can be maintained on surprisingly low volume. And just to clarify, we're talking about maintaining. So you can maintain your muscle mass on a low volume. I mean, if you're doing around like 6 to 10 sets per muscle per week, that is enough for most people. Not everyone. I would say the general population, though. If you are more experienced, it tends to increase. You'll need to get more sets in. Basically, the more trained you are, the higher that volume needs to be. And so as you're just starting your journey, 6 to 10 sets per muscle per week is a great starting point. And so that doesn't mean you have to do it all in one day, because that can be a lot. And so if you're on that time crunch, splitting that up. Okay, hey, maybe I'm going to do 6 to 10 sets in 3 days. So you're doing 2 sets a day. Great. As long as you're pushing the intensity in those sets and you are really giving it your all, then that's perfect. That's all you need. Like it's really not a whole lot. And I think people tend to overthink it, because you hear in a lot of like gym culture, it's like, oh, these guys are doing, 15, 20 sets per muscle group. And it's like, yeah, they've also got like 2-3 hours. They're working here, 6 days a week. Like they can afford that, which they're also probably a lot more experienced if they're doing that many sets. We're talking about, okay, where we start. If you're starting with that, you might be overtraining. You might be overworking yourself. So understanding that muscle mass can be maintained at a low volume, I hope gives you a little bit of comfort. Now, the big key is that you don't want to just do these, 2 sets 3 times a week, or, 3 sets 3 times a week. You don't want to just do them to get them over with, because that's kind of our next point that we're getting into, is these need to be 2 to 3, hard working sets. So you should be really kind of pushing your limits. Your intensity in the set matters more than the duration that set is going on for. So, if you're doing, 15, 20 reps, and by the end of that 15 or 20, you're like, sure. Yeah, I feel a burn, it's there. It's not much, but I feel a burn. That's what matters, right? Not quite. Yes, we want to make sure that our muscles are stimulated. We want to feel those muscles be active and really kind of fatiguing out. But that last portion is the big key. That's what matters the most, is those last few reps that you're doing should not be the same pace that your first few reps were. If they are, it means you're probably not pushing hard enough. Those last couple reps, you should be really struggling to get out. You should be fighting, giving it your all. If you're able to just breeze through them and it's a piece of cake, then even if it does feel hard, that is your body's way to kind of tell you like, hey, yeah, we worked, but we definitely still had more in us. And it is a mental battle. It really is. Because if you haven't trained that way before, if that's something that's like newer to you, you might be in for a little shock. Not gonna lie. It can be a shock at first. Cause I mean, for the longest time, I was not aware of how hard like I should be pushing. I was always of the mindset of like, okay, cool. I feel a burn. I'm tired. I know I'll be sore the next day. Great. But then as I've like become more experienced and I'm learning more about, fitness and health, understanding like hard intensity and really trying to push those muscle heads to their limit, it's intense because that's where you'll see the most stimulation. You'll see the most growth, I should say. And so you really should be taking those muscles and pushing them as hard as you can. And you'll get a lot more benefit out of it. And especially if you're on that time crunch, you really, freaking make every rep count. Don't cheat yourself. So that's one of the big keys is like, hey, yes, we can maintain our muscle on 6 to 10 sets. Low volume, doesn't need to be a whole lot. We're trying to save our time. But with that low volume, doesn't mean you can cheat yourself and take the easy road. Push yourself, push those limits. If you really want the results you're looking for, you need to make sure that, you're making the most of your time, which is, the whole point of this. You're on a time crunch, so don't cheat yourself more than the short time already might be. And I say might be because, you could be making the most of it still. So what I would say, if you guys are trying to, like I said, any of those goals, maintain your muscle, maybe build muscle, build strength, cardiovascular endurance, like working on progressive overload week after week, which, we've talked about in a few videos in the past. So, feel free to look through some of those older ones and you can go more in depth. But basically, you should be trying to week after week improve in one of the 3 areas: sets, reps, or weight. And so I forgot for a second. maybe I need to go back through. But yeah, so you're trying to push yourself to the limits on every rep. And then week after week, work on that improving in one of those 3 areas and understanding that it's okay for one week to feel harder than the previous. It might mean you just need to recover a little bit more. So work on that progressive overload week after week. Push those muscles to their limit. Struggle on those last couple reps and you'll feel that difference. You really will. It's not one of those where it's like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for like a couple weeks and I think I'm finally starting to feel it. Believe me, you gonna feel that right away. It is intense, but it's also really cool to be able to feel that difference in training and know that you're getting results. You're getting something out of it. It's super cool. It really is. So what I would prioritize as you're kind of on this 30-minute schedule, you're really trying to just dive in and be like, okay, what do I need to work on? Don't overthink it. Don't try and come up with all this fancy programming. Understand that your intensity in each set is going to matter the most. So what I would say is work on like compound movements. So basically movements that utilize more than just one muscle. So you're not doing, just like a regular bicep curl. Like you're not trying to just isolate the biceps. You could be doing like dumbbell thrusters where you're going down, you're doing a squat, you're coming up, you're doing a shoulder press. Like it's a compound movement because it's utilizing multiple muscle groups for a single movement. So it's going to save you a lot of time as you're doing that. And you'll still be able to push yourselves very hard. And the goal is in that next priority is getting as close to failure as you can. So if you've heard of, the RPE scale, it's your rate of perceived exertion. So it's basically, how hard you are visually pushing your body, I guess is kind of a way to put it. And it's just on a scale of 1 to 10. Your goal should be that, 8 to 9, even 10 rep, or not rep, but RPE. So you're really trying to push yourself to the limit of where you can't go anymore. You probably won't reach 10 on every single set, and that is okay as long as you're in that, upper echelon of like 8 and 9, where it's like, cool, you maybe have one more rep in you. Like leaving 1 or 2 in the bank like that is okay, because you're still going to be extremely fatigued. But if you feel like you have, the way I like to say it is, if you feel like you have more than 1 to 2 reps in the tank, you should probably do another 1 to 2. Just my take. One of my actually, I got to give a shout out to one of my old coworkers. His way that he got his clients to understand or kind of get an idea of it was like, hey, if I gave you $1,000 for every single rep that you could do after you thought you were done, how many more reps do you think you would do? And it was like, okay, well, dang, a lot of them were like, yeah, I could probably pump out another like 5 or 6. Like if there's $1,000 for every single rep, yeah, I'd be going all out. And that's the mindset you should have. And I think it was really funny, but I think it was honestly very accurate. It was really good. And it's a great way to get yourself, or, if you're training your clients, to kind of understand how hard you should actually be pushing. I think it was, yeah. So shout out to Joe. That was his thing. I think it was great. Love it. Still use it to this day. So thank you. But yeah, so working on compound movements is a great thing to prioritize. Hitting that close to failure. Working on the quality reps. So you're not just, throwing your body around, just trying to use your momentum on every rep. You should be trying to, focus on strict movements, having good form. And then maybe on those last couple reps where you're really struggling, you can kind of, you can have a little bit of less good form, as long as you're not, risking an injury. That's the big key. So you're looking for the quality of the reps, not just, yeah, I did 15. They were disgusting. They looked ugly. I had no clue what it was. Don't know what body part it hit, but yeah, I got 15. That's the wrong way to go about it. I'm sorry. So you're looking for the quality in those reps as well. And then also for the last thing that I think you should prioritize is your rest. I think that's one of the most important things, honestly, when it comes to just training in general, whether you're on a strict timeline or not, making sure that your rest is quality. So as you're on, a 30-minute time block, you're going to have your rest will look maybe a little bit different. It'll probably be a little bit shorter. And so you want to make it more intentional. You're going to really focus on trying to control your breath, really try and engage your parasympathetic nervous system just to help relax the body, trying to bring it back down, because you're going to be going quick. And so the more that you can kind of control your heart rate, that will also just in turn kind of help a little bit of the VO2 max, because if you're getting your heart rate high enough, I should say, and then dropping it low as you get better, because that'll basically just stands for the volume of oxygen that you can utilize while exercising. And so the more you're able to control that heart rate, the more you're able to control your breath, and like how quickly you can recover is huge. It is so big. So those are some of like the 4 things that I'd recommend kind of prioritizing is, your compound movements. So that way you can utilize your time most efficiently, getting close to failure on all of your reps, just as close as you can, making sure the reps are quality. You're not just trying to throw weights around, making sure that the form and everything is good. And then your last one is keeping your rest intentional. So those are kind of like the 4 things that I would make sure you're trying to prioritize if you're looking to utilize a quick and efficient workout. So what I want to kind of go over is I feel like there are a different amount of days throughout the week that you can work out, because obviously do you ever feel like sometimes you try and over explain things? That's what I felt like I was about to do. I was about to be like, obviously there's 7 days in a week, because you guys don't know that. I mean, let me help you out here a little bit. Okay. I got you. No worries. 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. Now you know. Oh my goodness. We're doing great, guys. I appreciate you all. If you're listening in, you guys mean a lot to me. But yeah, so what I was trying to go for before I decided to go off on my over explanation was when you're training, however many days a week, you can kind of come up with different plans. So if you're on that time crunch, your plans shouldn't be based off of like, oh, I need to, what body parts should I be hitting each day? It should be more like, okay, I know I'm coming in this many days. How do I break my body parts up into this many days? So if you're coming in, for example, like 4 days a week, you're going to then be splitting your muscle groups and your cardiovascular training up into those many days. So, for example, if you were to be coming in 4 days a week, just like as a quick little thing, you could be doing, lower body one day, focusing on more of like a squat pattern. So rather than doing, everything, you're just focusing one muscle or one body part, your lower body, focusing on kind of a squatting movement. Next day could be like your upper body. So you're hitting like an upper push and an upper pull, trying to kind of combine the two as best as you can. Then day 3 would be like a lower body, but you're focusing more on hinging. So kind of like RDL type of things. And then your 4th day would be, an upper pull and like a carry. So you're focusing on, maybe a little bit of extra core movement during that with farmer's carries. The nice part is with all of those, as you're going through them, you're working on those compound movements, hitting many muscle groups as efficiently and quick as you can while still making the reps quality. You have a lot of different styles of training you can play around with from, EMOM, which is like every minute on the minute. So you're focusing on doing an exercise 1 minute, resting for a couple seconds, hopping back on every minute. You could always do circuit training where you're doing a bunch of exercises, one right after the other, then resting at the end of that circuit before going through it again. Or you could even just do some kind of regular strength training where it's like, hey, I'm going to do, this compound movement for this many reps, and then I'm going to rest for, maybe 60 seconds. So you're trying to give yourself ample amount of rest for the heavier the lift is that you're doing. Because if you're doing an EMOM or a circuit, you're more than likely not going to be able to lift quite as heavy as if you're just doing a single exercise, strength focused, just trying to lift heavy. That's where like that difference is. And so you need more rest the heavier your lift is. And so in addition to that, if you do that strength training and you still want to work on a little bit of cardiovascular, then just kind of count that in. Just be like, okay, I'm going to, do this 2-3 movements for strength training, like a deadlift, maybe a squat, and like a bench or something like that. Just the big 3, as an example, and then cool. Once you've done those 3, you've done 2 sets of them. So you've gotten 6 sets in, for one day. Great. Now you've got, 10 minutes left. Go do some interval training for cardio. So depending on your goals, again, once you've defined them, then you can understand, okay, do I want to just focus on strength? Or do I want to do circuit training and EMOMs and add in more cardio or whatever your goal is? You can adjust your workout style. But again, kind of like we talked about earlier, we're not trying to swap up all the time. Like you shouldn't be doing, I'm going to do strength training one day. I'm going to do circuits another. I'll do just cardio another. And then, something else a different day. Your goal should be consistency. Trying to do similar routines every single day so that way your body can adapt, not just get used to, but like adapt. You want to see that progression and your body needs consistency. So if you're constantly swapping up routines, you're not getting that consistency and your body is struggling in every aspect now. So doing a set routine where it's like, cool, I'm doing strength and cardio, boom, 4 days a week, done. Now, if you don't have 4 days a week and you only have like 3, great. Your routine will look different because now you're trying to split your body up into 3 days rather than the 4. And so typically what I recommend, if you only have 3 days to come in and you're on that time crunch, doing full body kind of each of those days. And then each of those days might not be the exact same exercise, which is totally okay. Because if we're doing compound movements, you'll hit similar muscle groups. So, for example, deadlifts and squats, two different movements, they still utilize similar muscle groups though. So one day you could be doing deadlifts, the next day you could be doing squats. One day you could be doing pull-ups, the next day you could be doing neutral group rows. Something along those lines where you're hitting similar muscle groups, even though it's on different days. Because then you're still getting the minimum number of sets per muscle group that we needed each week, which was, around that 6 to 10 for general population, general population. Fun fact, I used to not be able to pronounce my R's. So if you're listening to some of my videos and you can tell, now you have a little insight on me. 3 days a week. Yes. So thank you for keeping me on track. Appreciate it. So for 3 days a week, the goal is kind of trying to do about full body on all of those days. Again, keeping those compound movements. So you're hitting multiple different muscle groups and then adding in a little bit of, conditioning there at the end. Because when you're doing full body, it's harder to hit full body on a timely schedule and add in conditioning. So that may be one of the few times where it's like, cool, okay, maybe you just do total body, full body twice a week and then conditioning on one of those days. And you can kind of decide what that conditioning looks like. Maybe you do just running, maybe you do pickleball, some type of sport that you enjoy or activity that you enjoy that helps to get the heart rate up a little bit. Again, depending on your goal. If you're looking for increased VO2, you want it to be more intense. If you're looking for more just steady state cardio, like you're trying to burn some fat, then maybe you just walk for the entire time. Like you just spend the 30 minutes walking, or you do a little bit of, slightly more intense stuff and then drop the heart rate and you just do the intervals like that. So that's what it would probably look like more so for the 3 days a week. I would say that's quite a bit different than the 4 times a week. Now, if you're somebody that has the time crunch, but the number of days is still plenty where you can, you're like, yeah, I can still make it in 5 or 6 times a week. That will, again, look slightly different because then it's like, okay, you can now hit, you can split your muscle groups up into 5 or 6 days, which again, if we're still trying to hit, each muscle group 2 to twice a week at least, then it's like, okay, you could do something like a push-pull legs, and have a little bit of conditioning there at the end because, you're not having to hit as many muscle groups. Sorry. Wrong choice of words. You're still hitting the same number of muscle groups, but you're not trying to do like full body each day. Nope, I was right. Yeah, you're not hitting as many muscle groups on each day. That's where I was going with that. I'm all over the place. But yeah, so that's the nice part is like the more days that you have, the wider variety of training styles you have is the way to think about it. So you might be more strict if you have 3 or 4 days, but there's still very good plans that you can work with. Again, you're just trying to find that consistency in a plan that you do have. And so if you have those 5 or 6 days, you can split yours up very differently. But again, that doesn't mean overdo with variation. You're not trying to have so many different things happening on each day. You still want to try and keep it, keep it simple is the best way to think about it. Like, don't overthink your plan. Just keep it very straightforward. Know what you're going to be doing each day. Have that plan coming into it so that way when you're coming in and you're working out, it's, what you're going to be doing, what you're going to be hitting. And it's much easier to prepare and have a good workout when you're not having to think during the workout of like, okay, what am I going to hit next? That's always one of the hardest things is when you're working out. Okay, do you know what's coming next? Do you know what your next exercise is? Are you actually prepared or are you kind of just winging it? Because if you're just winging it, then it's going to be a struggle. So always try to be prepared, understand what you're going to be hitting each day of the week and come into it knowing, okay, kind of like we talked about at that beginning, I need to make sure that I'm pushing my muscles as hard as I can, really trying to, get them to fatigue out as close to failure as I can so that I'm making the most out of each rep. And then making sure that the quality of the reps is there and that you're getting good rest. So you really have just like a few things that, so sorry, excuse me. So you have just like a few things that you're really trying to focus on. One of which is, your plan. Kind of like, I want to kind of just summarize everything for us, which is one was like, define your goal. Like, I think before you do anything, that's the big part. Define your goal. Know what you want to do. Once you do, then you can go into, okay, how many days a week am I even able to do this? So that way you can start to then, once you know what your goals are, how many days a week you have, okay, what should my split look like, knowing I only have these days? And then from there, okay, I know what my goals are. I know how many days a week I can come in. I know what my split is. Now I need to make sure that I'm prepping ahead of time so that when I go in to do each routine, I know ahead of time what I'm going to be doing. So that then when you go in to do those exercises and your workouts, all you have to think about is, okay, push hard. Make sure I'm not, just throwing weights around, but my reps are okay. My form is good. Make sure I'm resting. And then just leave it all out there. Because when you're on that time crunch, like we were saying earlier, you need to make the most of your time. So to answer your guys' question, yeah, I mean, if you're on a time crunch, you've got 30 minutes, is it still possible to achieve your goals? Yeah. Yes, it is. It just requires a little bit more planning and forethought. And so I want to encourage you guys that if that is you, if that's something that speaks to you where you're like, okay, I'm limited on my time. Yeah, you can still achieve your goals. It is still very possible. So if you guys have any questions, if you are curious more about some of the stuff that I went over in this podcast, please feel free, shoot me an email through the My Understanding email. If you know me personally, whether it be at my workplace or just outside of here, please feel free to shoot me a text or talk to me in person. I'm always happy to help out whenever I can. I'm always trying to learn more. So if you also have any criticisms or critiques on what you have heard me say today, if you maybe disagree with me on something, please let me know. I'm always down to, debate and kind of talk about points of view because I'm ultimately here to learn. So thank you guys so much for listening in. I really hope you guys enjoyed this, got something out of it. If you did enjoy it, you liked it, maybe you hated it, still, please leave a like, subscribe, send this to a friend. Let me know what you guys thought about it all. I hope you guys have a wonderful night and a week. Thank you guys so much. And I am excited to bring out another episode for you guys this next week. Also, sorry, before we go, if you haven't, check out the Instagram because we have an Instagram. We're getting it up. We've gotten it up and going now. We're releasing reels. Also check us out for YouTube shorts. So go ahead and check those out. Thank you guys so much. Have a good night. See ya.